Do you think, though, we can be respectful to someone if we're choosing to, it's like, well, I guess obviously maybe on some of these free-range farms you're giving them more wider conditions, but do you believe that's still right? Because, I mean, ultimately they'll still end up in a slaughterhouse being slaughtered.
For sure.
When they have a preference of wanting to live. Do you think that's justifiable?
Yes, I think it is justifiable. I believe that as, let's say, I don't actually know how long cows live. I want to say maybe 10 years.
They actually they can live up to 20 to 25 years.
20 to 25 years. Excellent. I think if we had a farm where they were able to live for, up to 20, maybe 22 years, and towards the end of their life, before, they got diseased or unfit to be consumed, they were painlessly and peacefully euthanized and then consumed, I think that would be a respectful thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's a nice thought. All right, you want to answer a couple questions?
Sure, why not?
Yeah?
Woohoo!
All right, we're live on YouTube. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Love it.
All right, so do you believe the powerful have a right to oppress the powerless?
Are we talking, when we say powerful, is there anything specifically we're talking about that?
We'll just say people in power, or say someone has power over another. Do you believe they should have the right to oppress another that is powerless?
No, I don't believe they should oppress the other.
No. Okay. Not even if they're like stronger and just have all the capabilities to?
No, I think it's their moral obligation to look out for and help the powerless, but it is not their right to then oppress them.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm going to ask you this next question.
Okay.
Do you believe we have the right to, actually let me ask, how do you feel about the animals we oppress?
In what context? Like with the meat industry?
Yeah, with the meat industry, the way we farm them, for obviously food, clothing, we use them for entertainment, animal testing.
Recognize that, we have to eat, and animals are a part of that, so we are going to have to consume animals to an extent, but I think the way that we are going about it right now is super not cool. And very sad. I think a lot more free-range farms with longer life expectancy and less genetic modification for animals would be much better than our current system.
Do you believe we have an alternative, though, to consuming animals?
We definitely have alternatives available. I wouldn't say necessarily at the same scale as animals. Obviously, not everyone is able to have meat alternatives available all the time, but also with sustainable fishing industries as well. I do think there are alternatives.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you there. Maybe certain people might find themselves in situations, say, I don't know, someone maybe up in Alaska living, like surviving. Obviously, in that case scenario, you're just surviving. You're going to do what you can. But like here right now, for example, us in Portland, do you think we have the choice to choose whether we should demand animal suffering, or could we choose a different alternative?
I think we definitely have more choices available. I do think that there is a economic factor available as well as a quality factor. I think not everyone has the ability to afford plant-based or non-animal meat alternatives, as well as these are new things being worked on, and they might not have the same quality. There might be some health detriments that we're not aware of.
Okay. Well, what if I told you actually that there was a study done? I think it was Cambridge. I don't know, Cambridge University.
One of the big universities.
They did a study, and they actually found that vegan diets are actually the cheapest. Foods like beans, legumes, lentils, chickpeas, rice, stuff like that. That's all some of the cheapest foods, all vegan, plant-based, obviously, compared to an omnivorous diet, if you want to call it. So I mean, there is that aspect. Obviously, if you choose to, buy some of the mock meats, they can be expensive, but you can be fully plant-based. You can do like a Whole Foods
for sure. And I think
approach.
With seasoning, you're able to get a lot of stuff to taste pretty close to meat. I do think that there have not been enough studies that I personally have seen on the long-term health effects of not having access to a lot of the vitamins and amino acids that meat give you. And obviously, I do know that you can get those all from plants, but I don't think a lot of people who are vegan are consistently meeting that, and sometimes slack a little bit and aren't, getting all of the nutrients they need.
Yeah, well, there was actually, so I think it was the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. They actually found that a whole foods plant-based diet can be healthy at all stages of life. I do agree that a lot of people, I guess, do it wrong, depending on what they eat. So you might find that some people obviously may have some health complications, but if you really think about it, I mean, any diet can have complications.
For sure, yeah. No, there's.
So I mean, there's obviously that, and I had a thought going, but kind of lost it.
I was just thinking that eating meat has so many health complications.
For sure, it
that's
definitely
one thing that's
does.
popped into mind, all the rates of cancer and all that, and just thinking of what people normally eat in our society just is totally messing with people's health.
For sure, 100% agree. I would say I think a lot of that is more attributed to the low quality and way that we are going about meat harvesting, and not necessarily eating the meat itself. I think, fresh, healthy animals, when consumed, do not give a lot of health complications.
Do you recognize, though, that animals, they're sentient? They can, they have the capability of experiencing...
For sure. I think it varies animal to animal, and I know everyone has their own opinion on where to draw that line. Some people think chickens are not as, sentient, or fish. And I do think there is a line, but I think at the end of the day, wherever you draw that line, there are animals that do have some form of sentience that we will still consume. And I think it's okay to consume those animals as long as we are respectful about it. We are not, wasteful or taking too much from them. And we are giving them the time and space to flourish as a species.
Do you think, though, we can be respectful to someone if we're choosing to, it's I guess obviously maybe on some of these free-range farms you're giving them more wider conditions, but do you believe that's still right? Because, I mean, ultimately they'll still end up in a slaughterhouse being slaughtered.
For sure.
When they have a preference of wanting to live. Do you think that's justifiable?
Yes, I think it is justifiable. I believe that, as let's say, I don't actually know how long cows live. I want to say maybe 10 years.
They actually live, they can live up to 20 to 25 years.
20 to 25 years. Excellent. I think if we had a farm where they were able to live for, up to 20, maybe 22 years, and towards the end of their life, before, they got diseased or unfit to be consumed, they were painlessly and peacefully euthanized and then consumed, I think that would be a respectful thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a nice thought, letting them live out their life, but the majority of them are killed at a fraction of their lifespan. I don't really know of any farm that lets them live out their life. They're killed, I think, at the age of 6, I want to say.
Yes, they are killed a lot earlier than they should. I worked at a farm where they let them live there. I don't believe it was the full 20 years. It was somewhere between 12 and 15.
All right, well, so I guess you stated you think that's justifiable, but let's say if that were you in that situation, would you be all right being essentially exploited?
I don't think it would be exploitation necessarily.
What would you consider?
I live my life the way I do now, and I feel like if I was able to continue doing that, and let's say I died at 50 instead of 70, and I knew that, I had a pretty good life thus far, and I knew that, I was going towards a cause or to help something or someone else, I think I could live and die happily.
Okay. I think the difference here is you obviously would be able to, assuming you'd be able to consent to that.
For sure.
These animals can't, though. So in that case, them not being able to give consent, do you think it can be morally justifiable? to do this to them?
I think it can be morally justifiable. I don't think it's necessarily morally right 100% of the time. I do think that, we've established that these animals have a form of sentience, but if they're not able to consent to certain things, then it begs the question of how sentient they are. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm going to assume that you are more leaning towards less animal cruelty and a more sustainable, meatless lifestyle.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about the use of protein from small krill and plankton in the oceans, and that being a primary protein source?
I feel like I haven't done too much research into that. I don't know if they're sentient or not. If I would,
debatable.
My whole thing with that, like I know mussels, for example, there is a debate on whether they are sentient or not. I take the precautionary approach where I'm not sure if they're sentient or not, but I'm gonna maybe just assume they are, so I won't eat them just because maybe they're not, but I feel like I'm not losing anything by not consuming
For sure,
them.
that's understandable. I would say that, in my personal opinion at least, small, almost microscopic sea life like that, I would say are about as sentient as a majority of the plants or fungi that we would be eating instead.
Okay, well, I mean, hey, I'll have to do more research into that. If they are sentient, then I would argue not to consume them, especially since we have other ways.
For sure.
And we actually, speaking of sustainability, we'd actually free up 75% of our agricultural land switching to a plant-based diet.
For sure. No, the amount of just pure land that we use for these meat farms is staggeringly wild, and we could definitely be putting that towards way better things.
Right. Well, and we'd have so much more food, and obviously to feed world hunger is an issue, and we'd have so much more food, obviously, to feed people in hungry situations that are starving and whatnot. And animal agriculture is extremely unsustainable because you have to obviously breed all these animals into existence, then you have to grow food to feed them.
For sure.
So you're just using obviously so much.
The water consumption it takes for a full adult cow is super big.
Right. So yeah, I mean that obviously that's a benefit to being vegan, but I mean we're obviously here focusing on like the ethic principle of it. Yeah. So I mean, I guess we kind of had our discussion. I would encourage you to go vegan. Obviously, I would encourage you to look into it. If I give you this card, would you check these out? These resources.
Yeah, what are they?
So this is a documentary. It's called Dominion, 2018. Basically, it just goes over standard practice of everything that these animals go through. It goes over. I think it just goes over food, right?
Honestly, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I'm not sure if it goes over. I think it just goes over. Oh, actually, no. That's not. No, I think it covers like clothing and some of that. But anyways, standard practice and basically essentially what these animals go through. And then you can also check us out. Anti-animal use. I think this goes to our. Is this a QR code to the YouTube, right?
The color. Oh yeah. That's our Facebook group.
Our Facebook group.
Okay. Awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
love to take one and check it out sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
It's free on YouTube, the documentary?
Yeah, it's free.
Awesome. Can I ask one quick last question for you? You've talked a lot about sentience. What, in your words, would be a definition of sentience?
Just essentially, obviously, an individual who has the capacity to experience. They have a subjective experience. Maybe, obviously, humans, we maybe have a different subjective experience. We can think more intellectually about things, obviously, than obviously these animals, but there's still an individual in there having an experience who has a preference to not be harmed and wants to just live their life. So I would define it as having a subjective experience.
Okay.
Can feel pain and suffering.
Do you believe that plants don't have that level?
No. Okay. They don't have a brain or a central nervous system. They do react to stimuli. I know there's some studies going over that, but that's not sentience. Evolutionary speaking, it would be had a huge disadvantage to them to be sentient, considering they're just stuck in the ground. So they, obviously evolutionary, they wouldn't. It would be at a disadvantage for them to be sentient. But no, they can't experience pain or suffering or think, or they don't know when I be
when
ripping
you
them
pluck
out
them
of
out.
the ground.
Yeah. Do you believe, by that logic, that single-celled organisms also wouldn't qualify as sentient? Like, do you think your cells are sentient?
I am ready to
No. Are you more referencing like bacteria or just
like bacteria, or just any large amoebas. I know that there are some deep sea ones that get like pretty about this big, but they're still a single cell.
I guess I haven't looked into the amoebas, but no, I as far as I know, I mean, I guess I can do more research into it, but no, I don't believe bacteria is sentient. It's obviously alive, but they don't have like the subjective experience.
Awesome. Well, it was great to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Good to meet
Thanks
you.
for stopping by.